The worst moment in Conor Bedard's career has already happened to him. We'll explain today on Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Hayden Heilshorn, and with me is my co-host, Jay Foster. We're here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of your favorite team and ours, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get going here, we want to thank you all for making this your first listen every day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, and the SiriusXM app. Jay, I am a little bit upset right now, and just a quick personal story about 45 minutes ago, I was blading out on the tennis courts at my apartment complex, trying to get some little dangles in before my game today. And I just had a simple, little missed dangle, and I, put my biscuit under, it's, those pucks that are called biscuits that are like perfect for using outside. I rolled they're like $20, like here in Columbus right now. I rolled it under the fence, and I was happy that I just avoided the fence. And I was like, whoa. That was crazy. And then I get down on my hands and knees to grab my puck. I end up looking for 20 minutes for this puck.
That puck's gone.
It's
that
gone.
belongs to your apartment complex now.
It is gone. So it was my last biscuit. I'm just absolutely livid right now because, it shouldn't have gone far. It should have just rolled under the fence and just been right there. But no, I had to spend 20, 30 minutes on my hands and knees in the mulch digging. So I'm really mad right now. So
that's what you get for playing hockey outside.
That's what you get for just trying to go outside. You just lose money instantly, even when you're trying to save money. But so that was a great way to start the day. Apologize to anybody who is a closet Blackhawks fan. I know we have them. It's crazy here in Columbus how many half Blue Jackets fans, half Penguins, half Blackhawks, half Red Wings. I will own up. I am sometimes half Red Wings. So if you're here and you're excited about Conor Bedard in Chicago, well, I just got bad news for you. I think it's the worst thing that could have happened to him. I don't think he's going to retire as a Blackhawk. I think he already dislikes the situation. I'm being dead serious right now. And we're going to talk about kind of where the first three guys in the draft went, and we're going to compare all three of their situations because I think these three guys are far and away in their own category. And then there's a drop off, and then there's Will Smith. So I think it's interesting to talk about Conor Bedard, Leo Carlsson, and Adam Fantilli. Bedard going to the Blackhawks, Carlson going to the Ducks, and Adam Fantilli going to the Blue Jackets. Just kind of what their situation means. But the reason why I said that about Bedard, because I don't know if you saw this or not, but apparently Bedard didn't get to skate at the Blackhawks development camp. They just didn't have any of the kids go on the ice, and Conor Bedard came out and was like, this is the longest I've gone without being on the ice. So he's pretty frustrated about that. He's being very open, saying yeah, we didn't skate, and this is the longest I've gone without skating. Luke Richardson, the head coach over there, he's going to be in his second year coaching. The first year didn't go so well, and now your star player is already saying, hey, I didn't get to skate at all. This is kind of bullcrap. It's not a good situation early. Jay, you used to be a Blackhawks fan.
Unfortunately, yes, I am. I am a recovering Blackhawks fan. I always like to say, but it's a really good gateway, or it really was in 2013 when I was getting into hockey. I was like, well, they are. That's just the team, It's like getting into football because everyone's talking about the Patriots, So I feel like I can be forgiven for being a Blackhawks fan, but it's a really interesting. I think Conor Bedard landed in the most interesting situation because I feel like the Blue Jackets are kind of what they are at the minute. I don't think they're not going to be as bad as they were last season. I think that's, last season was an anomaly in all kinds of different ways. The Ducks, I think, again, I go back and forth on what the Ducks are like as a team. I think they have very good top players, and then it kind of gets a little bit shaky when you get to the depth. New head coach there. It'll be interesting. I actually think I disagree with the idea that Luke Richardson's first year coaching didn't go so well. He's a really interesting choice because I think he's quite a good coach. And it felt like he was succeeding despite what the Blackhawks were putting on the ice. And like the Blackhawks traded everyone with a pulse, not named Seth Jones last season. You know, like they got rid of from the summer onwards. DeBrincat went, Kirby Dach went, Jonathan Taves is probably done in the NHL. They traded Patrick Kane away. Like Seth Jones was really the only kind of warm body on that team. It was Seth Jones and a bunch of like Mark Donks, you know? And it's going to kind of be the same thing again this year. But I'll be interested to see what Luke Richardson can get out of this group because I went to look at their kind of roster page to try and figure out, okay, we're doing prep for this episode. Who is Conor Bedard going to be playing with? Because I feel like we know who Fantilli is going to be playing with. It's going to be some combination of Gaudreau, Laine, Ken Johnson, Kirill Marchenko. Who's Conor Bedard going to be playing with? They signed... they traded for Taylor Hall. Excuse me. He's got 2 years left on his deal. He feels like the perfect winger for Conor Bedard. I feel ancient calling him a veteran because he's like my age, but he is kind of in that grizzled veteran stage of his career right now. And then they've got a bunch of like middle to bottom six guys. I was like, okay, who's the second best winger on this team right now? And it might be Andreas Athanasiou. They could bring Lucas Reichel up from Rockford, who I believe made his NHL debut this season. I like Reichel as a prospect a lot, but do they want to bring him up and then potentially kind of stick him in a bad situation and ruin his development? So it's really interesting. Like, is Bedard a better player than Fantilli? Yes. No one is saying that. Not even Sam McGilligan, who talked up Adam Fantilli a lot, but followed it up with he's not on Bedard's level. No one is saying that Adam Fantilli is just as good as Conor Bedard. I think that is the hottest of hot takes that I don't think anyone is saying. However, I think Fantilli has been put in a better position to have more immediate success in this league than Bedard, just by dint of he's got 3, arguably 4 legitimate top line wings to play with. Whereas Conor Bedard is going to be getting 31-year-old Taylor Hall, who still a very good player, by the way. And
he's on his 6th team. He's on his 6th team.
It's so difficult to predict because if anyone can come out and break the system, Conor Bedard can. I wouldn't be surprised to see him put up 90 points between, Tyler Johnson and Taylor Hall next season. I feel like that's a really easy thing to imagine. But this episode is not about who's going to have the best rookie season. This is who landed in the best situation. And we're going to talk a little bit about Carlson's situation in a little bit. But looking at these 3 players, it's tough to look at Conor Bedard and go, man, he landed in the dream situation. Chicago has a lot of good prospects. They are in that process of the rebuild, but I do think they are still 2, maybe 3 years behind where Columbus is right now. And I think Anaheim is kind of in the same situation, but I think they're probably a little bit ahead of Chicago as well, which again, we'll get into the Carlson thing in a minute, but I don't know. It's tough to say what's going to happen with Bedard next season. He could come out and shine and, do a Gretzky and, or do an Austin Matthews, and score 4 goals in his first NHL game. Will he? I don't know.
I don't know either. And I got some more on Bedard's situation in Chicago in just a minute. First things first, take a swing at betting Major League Baseball on FanDuel. You get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets, up to $200. That's right, just $20, and you will land a $200 bonus bet, win or lose. That's $200 that you can spend betting everything from money line to over under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. All of it on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no waiting. They put the money right in your account. There's no better place to bet on Major League Baseball than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Sign up today. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official partner of Major League Baseball. Also, if you want to bet some NHL, I've been throwing some NHL futures around. I am kind of embarrassed to say what they are. Maybe I'll tell you here in a second.
It's the Blue Jackets are winning the cup, I bet. I bet you put money
Yes,
on
I
the Blue
did.
Jackets winning the-
I put money on the Blue Jackets winning the Stanley Cup. I had to, because I have this deep fear that one day one of my favorite teams will reach the pinnacle. They'll win the trophy, whether it's the Lions, whether it's the Tigers, Blue Jackets, Ohio State, and I won't have money on them. That's the biggest fear that I have. So
it does haunt me that I almost put money on the Blue Jackets sweeping the Lightning in 2019, and then I was like, man,
dang.
the way that sports betting works, we don't have to get into it, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to go through all of the different steps, and I was like, I don't know, that could be bothered. It's really just for committing to the bit at this point. That's not actually going to happen. And then I think about how much money I would have made if I'd put $10 on the Blue Jackets sweeping the Lightning. But that isn't the point of this episode. You have some interesting things to say about Leo Carlsson, I think.
Yes, I do. But real quickly, I want to go back to Bedard because I said he wasn't on the ice during the Blackhawks developmental camp. What he was doing was, and this is all Luke Richardson's idea, and he's a guy that you like, and maybe now that I'm reading a little bit more and thinking about this, and I forgot about the fact that I lost the biscuit already. I'm having a chance to think about this, and I think it's actually a good thing. So Conor Bedard didn't get on the ice during development camp. He was in sneakers, and they were doing some workouts on the hardwood and on a gym floor, and then they also received boxing lessons. And Luke Richardson was kind of explaining this, and he says it takes the pressure off some of the prospects that are looking to perform at a high level. And I kind of understand that because, obviously, if Conor Bedard was going to have pressure on him wherever he went, especially if he went to Columbus, because that's a team that's just waiting to be good. They are ready to be good. The Ducks, I think he would have been okay on the pressure because Anaheim's pretty cool on their hockey fandom. But Chicago, they are sports town through and through, and they are expecting him to be the next Patrick Kane tomorrow. So for Luke Richardson to be in that headspace of let's get him off the ice, let's get him used to his teammates now, I can understand that a little bit. But then when you have him coming out and saying no, I want to be practicing what I'm it's better for me to be practicing. That's how I get comfortable. That's how I relieve the pressure. I feel like Luke Richardson's really missing a step there. He's overthinking it, I should say.
I will say in Luke Richardson's defense, I know a big thing for John Tortorella in training, not necessarily development camp, but I remember training camp, at least 1 year, they did the entire first day with no pucks. It was just skating, and obviously Tortorella, big proponent of I'm going to make every single player run 2 miles on the first day of camp to see who's been keeping up with their cardio over the summer. Personally, I think the running 2 miles might kill me at this point. But I don't know that it's very useful for NHL players, but I think I can kind of see Luke Richardson's thought process especially when you look at what happened in a scrimmage yesterday for the Maple Leafs development camp, where one of their top prospects got just rocked by some undrafted guy there on a free agent invite, smashed his head off the ice and then just didn't move for a minute. So I can see that they, maybe they don't want to risk injuries at this point in the off season. Maybe I don't know, but I think it's not necessarily the kiss of death to be well, Bedard didn't get on the ice during development camp. I'm sure he's frustrated. He's 18. All he wants to do is play hockey. He might actually, I don't even think he's 18 yet. I think he's still 17. He's 17. All he wants to do is play hockey. That's his entire personality. I feel like it's probably, we shouldn't read too much into him being mad about not getting to skate, because I feel like he's mad about having to go eat dinner instead of skating sometimes, you know?
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I think my issues with, well, I say my issues. My thing with Bedard is I still think, and this is before, again, Blackhawks fans, you like to drift through and watch these episodes, like, hi, welcome in, I guess. I still think it would be the funniest thing in the world if he pulled an Eric Lindros and was like, no, I don't want to sign with these guys. He's not going to, because that would rock the boat in every conceivable way. And as we all know, NHL players are illegal. It's illegal for them to rock the boat in any kind of conceivable way. But I do think it would be so funny if Conor Bedard was like, actually, I don't want to sign with the Blackhawks.
It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing. And yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, I understand it a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, he's just like, ice time is ice time, and I want my ice time. And even though Torts had his players skating without pucks one day, at least they were skating, I think is like the point there is like they were practicing what they're supposed to be doing. To move on to Leo Carlsson here, because as I'm reading into this situation, it seems like the Ducks are looking for their next Ryan Getzlaf. And Ryan Getzlaf had some words to say. He's part of their new coaching staff in this new regime, this new kind of Ducks era. And yeah, he sees a lot of himself in Leo Carlsson. He's a big body center, and he has a lot of skill. And I think they're trying to make that into Ryan Getzlaf, which I think, and that situation is a great place to play too. Adam Fantilli going to the Blue Jackets is great because there's tons of young guys, tons of Michigan guys, but there's a nice young core with Trevor Zegras, Troy Terry, Mason McTavish. They got a nice young core kind of developing in Anaheim that I think Leo Carlsson, it is a really good situation for a young player to walk into. The thing that Carlson's been having an issue with is just getting out to Anaheim. I mean, like, his family trying to get to Nashville for the draft was brutal. They landed in New Jersey, had some weather issues, and ended up having to drive 13 hours to Nashville. Apparently, Leo Carlsson's missed some appearances and stuff because he's just had straight up travel issues getting out to Anaheim. And that's another thing that I really didn't consider. And I think other fans don't consider, like, oh, yeah, he's going off to play in beautiful Southern Cal. Like, Southern Cal is halfway around the world for this guy. It would have been much, much easier for him to end up playing in a place like Columbus where, you know, there's an airport that you can travel to very easily. And it's a smaller city, much probably more like the city that he grew up in. Los Angeles has like 5 million people in it. Like, gosh, it's an unbelievably big place compared to where he's from.
Yeah, I like to go to LA. If I lived in LA, it would drive me insane.
Yeah.
And I think something else. So, not to interrupt, but I just wanted to kind of add to your point about that core that they're building. I agree. I think Anaheim is building a really nice little forward core. I am a huge fan of Trevor Zegras' game. I like Troy Terry a lot. I like Mason McTavish a lot. And then on the back end, they've got a kid like Jamie Drysdale, who I think is going to be, you know, Quinn Hughes level good at some point. I really, really like Drysdale's game. I wonder if part of the reason that they decided Carlson over Fantilli, and obviously we talked a little bit about this with Sam McGilligan, I don't remember if it was on mic or off mic, about how Carlson really impressed them at the Combine. I'm wondering if his versatility is an option there as well, because Adam Fantilli is pure center. Carlson is a very good center, but he has that versatility. He can make the jump to the wing in the same way that Trevor Zegras is also, he plays center, he can move to the wing. And I think having that versatility with, okay, you've got, there you go, there's your 4 top guys in Terry, McTavish, Zegras, and Carlson. You can put basically any combination of those 4 guys together and get success, you know? And I wonder if that's, I don't know that was the entire reason, but I wonder if Carlson's kind of potential for the wing as well as center is maybe they think that they can get, maybe they think that Trevor Zegras is the number 1 center of the future, you know, and they're like, okay, well, we'll pick Carlson, he can go on the wing, and if Zegras doesn't work out, then hey, we've got Carlson to step into that space, you know. It's honestly, I know that we've talked a lot of crap about the Ducks and Pat Verbeek skipping on Fantilli. Carlson landing in Anaheim, I think, is a really good situation for him. I think they are closer to being competitive than Chicago.
Most
The weather is
definitely.
nice. Like, you can't discount. As someone who it's been raining for like 36 straight hours here, and we had like an 8-hour thunderstorm yesterday. Like, the concept of sunshine can't be overstated in my book. Do I think that Fantilli landed in the best situation because the Blue Jackets, I think, are going to be the closest to competitive this season? Yes, but I think Carlson landed in a pretty good situation.
He did.
Assuming he even plays for the Ducks next season.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, you sent me something along that you think he might actually be staying in Sweden next year, potentially. Like he has comfortability there. I said that thing about him having travel issues to Los Angeles. Obviously, that is a first kind of couple months as a pro thing that I'm sure he'll get over very quickly. He'll learn to love Los Angeles. There's a million things to do out there. The other thing is, too, is you're absolutely right about them being much closer to being a competitive team. And with that young talent, it seems like just naturally they've learned to really build something authentic and interesting with that group, where I just keep constantly thinking back to when Jay Beagle like beat the crap out of Troy Terry so badly, and Trevor Zegras was in the media scrum right after that, asking Jay Beagle to get suspended and stuff and get kicked out of the league and whatnot. And I was like, I kind of love that, even though I hate the Ducks. Like, I hate how flashy they are. It's more jealousy than anything. But to see like that kind of like they went through that as a team and they kind of bonded together through that, I think it's just really authentic. Like, that builds a really authentic group that I think is easy to root for. And I think Leo will find his way in that no problem, just because he's a big guy and he can score. So like, I think the guys will learn to like him. But yeah, we're going to move on and talk about our guy, Adam Boqvist, because there was a certain rumor that had been floating around about him and what might be happening with his career in Columbus. We'll tell you that after a quick break. Before we get to that little rumor, I want to take the chance to thank you, the Everydayer, for making our dream talking about the CBJ possible. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us on the SiriusXM app. You can find us right here on YouTube and look at our dumb faces as we say, I'd like to say above dumb things, but it's probably pretty stupid things sometimes about our favorite team and yours, the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Okay, I want to go on record to say that everything I say is dumb. And therefore, if I accidentally say something smart sometimes, then it's a win-win.
It's a fluke.
Nothing, and sometimes you'll be surprised by yourself.
Expect very little.
It, then people on the internet can't get mean. Like, if I'm mean to myself, then people on the internet can't be mean first.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. This is a rumor from like the least credible guy on Twitter claiming to cover the Columbus Blue Jackets. But hey, if he nails this, he nails this. This is our guy, Ian Phillips, who covers the CBJ for Yamo Media. Yamo Media looks like they are a Columbus, Ohio-based media collective. And Ian Phillips passed this along. Per his source close to the team, Boqvist talks are heating up. More details to come. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's getting traded, but that does sound like he's probably on the move. And to me, Jay, if I'm some team out there that's looking to acquire a young defenseman with like huge potential upside on offense, I am looking instantly at a guy like Adam Boqvist. Adam Boqvist is just 22 years old. He has played for 2 teams already, played for the Devils, playing here for Columbus.
Chicago.
I'm sorry, another red and black.
You're thinking of Jesper Boqvist, his brother, who plays for the Devils right now. Adam Boqvist was one of the parts we got back for the Seth Jones trade.
Thank you very much. Just a red and black team represented by Satan. Either way,
there's too much red and blue in this league, and it throws me
red
off.
And black. Too much red and black. Too much red and blue. Too many, logos that are just based off letters, including the Blue Jackets, is weirdly a C. It took me years before I figured that one out. But Adam Boqvist, we've seen flashes of great offense from him. We really have. Like, he's very, very dynamic on the power play. He keeps his head up the whole time. He's looking for the pass. He's looking for the shot. it just seems like too often, though, he also had a lot of mistakes where he would create a back-breaking turnover that led to a crucial goal, or, and like a lot of that can be written off as he's just a young player. But when you see that the Blue Jackets might be potentially moving Adam Boqvist, what in your mind, Jay, do you think, or would you like to think the Blue Jackets could get back for Adam Boqvist?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to say, I've said this on both my Twitter and the podcast Twitter. I love Adam Boqvist. I think Adam Boqvist is a legit top 4 option for many teams in this league. However, if you look at the Blue Jackets right now, there just isn't room for him in that top 4, and I don't think he's the kind of player that will thrive getting third-line minutes and playing, the shutdown defense that I kind of expect from third-pairing minutes. Like at the minute, I'm going to go ahead and say that the defense right now is probably the top 4. I don't know what order it's going to be in, but it's going to be Werenski, Provorov, Severson, and David Jiricek. I think he's going to be the top 4. Then you've got Eric Branson, who's going to be on that third pairing, and then you've got to pick someone to play with him. I don't think Adam Boqvist is that guy. I think his value right now is very high, and I think he's going to be one of those guys that I want him to go to somewhere and succeed. Because I feel like he's had a lot of negativity from both Blackhawks fans and Blue Jackets fans. He gets injured a lot, which, that's just kind of how this game works. Did he break his foot or his ankle this season and then broke his hand? Broken bones happen. It's fine. But he is a guy that I am rooting for to succeed somewhere else. In terms of return, I'm not sure what I would want. Like, what I would want is a first-round pick, I think. But that feels unlikely. I would have done maybe a second round pick and like a minor prospect, or a second round pick and let's say a second and a fourth maybe in the next year's draft. But obviously the draft has just gone, so I don't know. I feel like people are stingier with with next year's draft picks immediately after this draft has already happened, if that makes sense. I feel like you don't see a lot of trades for picks this time of year. So I wonder, do they move him for a middle six center? Do they move him for a veteran goalie? Who, again, I don't have any names to mind. I know that you
Gibson
want to talk
about Anaheim.
Gibson. If we have time, that's going to be interesting to make the money work. But if they trade Adam Boqvist for someone like, God, I don't know. I'm blanking on every single veteran goalie in the league, but like not Keith Kincaid specifically, but a Keith Kincaid type player who is definitely on his way out of the league, but is good enough to start maybe 30 games this season.
Yeah, I kind of want to just, as you're talking about that, I'm trying to get you a list of free agent goalies next year, because we know that those guys would definitely be on the move. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know Matthew Murray is going to be a UFA, but he's with Toronto.
The Leafs one or the Stars one?
That's the Leafs one.
Okay.
Connor Hellebuck is definitely a veteran goalie that you'd love to grab. That's a big piece, though. That would be a dream situation. He's obviously the big fish.
Like the money, and I actually pulled up. If the Blue Jackets, Locked On Blue Jackets drinking game, I did close the tab that I need. Blue Jackets can't pick up another starting goalie like Hellebuck unless they get rid of Mosley Eakins. The money's not going to work. Elvis is making $5.25 million for the next 4 seasons. If you assume that Hellebuck is probably going to make 8+ in his next deal, I'm not paying $13 million for 2 goalies. I love goalies. If I could have a team of all goalies, I would. But that's just not how it works, So I am in the process.
Marc-Andre Fleury is going to be a UFA. That would be pretty sick. I mean, he's going to be 40 years old.
I would take a Marc-Andre Fleury.
Carter Hart will be a UFA. He'll be a young UFA though at 26. I don't know. I mean, the Blue Jackets haven't made a big move for a goalie since, I guess, technically Jonathan Quick, which he didn't even that was stupid. Blue Jackets haven't traded for a goalie since they traded for Bobrovsky, really, that I can think of. So I would love to see it. We know Jarmo probably isn't resting. He's probably trying to make a move as we speak. And Adam Boqvist is certainly a piece that I am willing to let go for even a second rounder. I think that'd be amazing to get a second rounder for Boqvist. If you get a first rounder, all the better. But yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see kind of what happens with him as the days roll on. That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for making this your first listen every day. Locked On Blue Jackets, again, is free and available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, and the SiriusXM app. I'm Hayden Housorn. You can find me on Twitter at HaydenH971. You can find Jay on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, Jacob with a K, and then a silent R after the O in Foster. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets. That one's also on Twitter. You can email us at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. Thank you once again for listening. And until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.